Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willow Journals. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a Journal With Me episode, and this is part 3 of a series where I am answering questions from some of my favourite journalers and people who inspire me and people in this wonderful crafty journaling community. And the person who I'm featuring today is Olivia from the Brown Satchel. So a lot of you will know her if you watched my channel for a while from the collaboration videos that I do each month, where we pen pals via YouTube. So instead of sending each other letters, we share a video with each other, catching up on each other's months. And she gave me a whole bunch of questions. She gave me 11 of them, and she even wrote them out and sent me a photo of them so I could print them out and stick them in my journal. How cool is that? I've got her actual writing in my journal. That feels a bit special. And so as I go about decorating this page and writing out my answers, I will share with you what her questions are and answer them. So it's going to be a very chatty video. So grab some craft or put this on in the background and hope it is relaxing and interesting. So the first question that Olivia asked was, what is your favourite snack and guilty pleasure? So my favourite snack is chips, packets of chips. Ever since I was a kid, I have enjoyed chip packets. So salt and vinegar is my favourite flavour. I also say that burger rings are my favourite, but I rotate. I have the chicken twisties, I have the cheese twisties, I get cheezels, I get the French fries, I get light and tangy sometimes, cheese and onion sometimes. I'll try different brands of salt and vinegar. I go through phases. I'll have a Smith's phase, and then all of a sudden I'll switch over to Thins. So I like my chips. Doritos, CC's, I used to really like those as well. If I'm in the mood for them, I'll go get them as well. But chips, I love chips. And whenever I'm watching TV or watching a movie or reading a book, I like to have a packet of chips while I'm doing that activity. I'm one of those people who likes to eat food while I'm doing something enjoyable, like watching a movie or reading a book. And so often, if I have some yummy food, I won't eat it straight away. I'll save it for when I'm going to be watching a movie or TV or reading that book. And as for guilty pleasure, the only thing I could really think of was Gullion chocolates and Lindt chocolate, in that they're quite expensive, those types of chocolates, and so I don't get them just all the time. Chip packets I'll get every day, and I pretty much eat a chip packet every single day, whereas I would love to, eat Lindt and Gullion chocolates every single day as well, but they are quite expensive, so those are more of an indulgence for me. And sometimes I have to be wise and be good with my money and restrain myself from buying those chocolates. Her next question is, if you could magically speak any other language, what would you choose? So in the past, I have always said Spanish. I wanted to learn Spanish a lot, so much so that it was on my bucket list at one point. And I even bought myself a Spanish book to learn Spanish. It came with a CD and everything, and I was reading that book. I was thinking of taking some Spanish classes, that kind of thing. I like the idea of being able to speak the language in both understanding what you hear and speaking it and writing it, and just basically being fluent and being able to hold a conversation. That seems like it would be so fun. But yeah, I gave that a go, and I kind of learned, that would be cool, but there's so many other things I'd rather spend my time doing. If we've got a limited amount of time on this earth, then I kind of gave up that one about learning another language. I'd love to, but just it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of study, and I'd rather spend my time doing other things, to be honest. And then more recently, I say that I would love to be able to speak Italian. And it all just comes down to, why did I choose those two languages? I just like the sound of them and the sound of the words. It just sounds beautiful to me. And when I was in primary school, we did learn a bit of Italian. That was the language that we learned when I was in primary school. When I went to, it started off being Italian, and then we changed over to Japanese. And then when we went to high school, you had the option of either Japanese, French, or German. And I probably would have chosen French. My sister and brother, when they were at high school, they chose French as well. But I don't think they had Japanese back then when they went to that school. And so because we learned Japanese in primary school, it was just like a natural thing that I would choose, because you had to choose one of the three. It was compulsory to choose a language, and so I just naturally chose Japanese, but I think it would be cool to learn French. But yeah, I have a little bit of, like the tiniest bit of knowledge about Italian and Japanese. My favorite Japanese sentence was always "Watashi wa hono yo." Hang on, let me see if I can get this right. "Watashi wa hon o yomu ga daisuki desu," which means I love to read books. And my favorite in Italian was "così così." When you asked, "Come stai?" How are you? We were given three options. It was either "bene grazie," "così così," or "bellissimo." And "così così" means, so. And I just really love the sound of that. "Così così." That is my little foray into languages. And then the third question is, what do you do when you're feeling unmotivated? If I'm quite honest, I just lie in my bed and do nothing if I'm feeling unmotivated. But no, if I want to get out of feeling unmotivated, often I will put on a podcast and just do something crafty. I will sometimes declutter and organize my room. That always helps me get active in doing something. Or just whatever sparks my interest. I might find a book that interests me, or find a movie that interests me. I'll usually get creative, do something. Writing is another one, actually. If I'm really unmotivated, something that helps me is to write, because writing gets me unstuck. Often there have been times where I just felt, for whatever reason, stuck, whether it's out of being unmotivated, or whether it's frustration or overwhelming feelings, whatever it is. I know, like, I might sit there for an hour going, I really want to do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'm wasting time. There's nothing I can do. And eventually, at the back of my mind, there's this little voice that says, just pick up a pen and write. Just journal something, because that always works. But I resist it, because I'm like, oh no, eventually I'll get to do something. I'll get up and I'll get motivated. I'll think of something to do. And time will go ticking, and I'll realize, this isn't working. So I'll just pick up my pen, because I don't feel like writing at the time. Like, I'm not motivated to write. But I know that throughout my life, writing has always got me unstuck. It unlocks something. So eventually I'm just like, okay, well, fine, I'll write. It's like kind of kicking and screaming, grumbling. It's like, fine, I'll do it. And other times, like, I embrace it more, because it's like, I know this will unstuck me. Let's go to it straight away, writing. Other times I'm like, it's like I'm dragging my feet. It's like, okay, I'll write, because I know it helps me. And then without fail, every single time, just writing out my thoughts, writing out what I'm feeling, writing about what I'm frustrated about or stressed about, writing I'm unmotivated, and just exploring why, and just what I'm going through. For whatever reason, it just helps me, and then I'll get some sort of clarity, or I'll get some direction, or my motivation will come back, and it just makes me feel better and unlocks something, so that I can get unstuck and I get moving again. It gives me some sort of action and some direction. I was listening to a podcast actually about being stuck, and they were saying that if giving advice to people to get unstuck, the number one piece of advice was to just do something, because the enemy of being stuck is action or movement or something like that. I'm probably getting this all wrong, paraphrasing it in terms of my understanding of it. And I thought, yeah, that makes total sense, because I've seen that in my life. If you just do something, something happens and it unlocks something, and you, how many times am I going to say something in that sentence? But anyway, yeah, it gets you going, and just do something, anything. That's the whole point. It doesn't have to be this big thing. It doesn't have to be this huge, meaningful thing. Any tiny little step, even though it might feel meaningless and like it doesn't even matter, it actually does get you unstuck. So I guess writing might be that thing. It gives me some action to do, and therefore straight away it just gets me unstuck. So yeah, writing definitely helps as well. Number 4, what did you want to be when you were a child? Okay, I wanted to be quite a few things over the years of my childhood. I remember wanting to be a dolphin trainer, a marine biologist. I think every single girl, I'm using hyperbole here. Is that the word? Over-exaggeration? Exaggeration. In this. When I grew up, all the girls had a phase of wanting to be a marine biologist. I don't know why. Is this just my generation, or is this like across the generations? That was the thing, marine biology, and then dolphin trainer. And I'm pretty sure I had this idea I wanted to be an artist and a sculptor, because I always liked art and creating. And then probably like a secret dream, I wanted to be some sort of performer, because as soon as I got the house to myself, I would turn up the music, and sometimes I'd even dress up and sing into a fake microphone, and I would perform little concerts to myself in my room. Like literally there would be a mirror on the wall, and I would come up with dance moves and singing, and sometimes I'd go out into the lounge room and I would just perform like this mini concert to no one out in the lounge room. And I would do that, like I would look forward to it. As soon as people left the house, I'm like, all right, turn the music up, let's go. So I probably had this dream, a secret dream, to be some sort of performer, actor, singer, musician, songwriter, dancer, a theatre performer. And then, though, when I was in grade 3, I decided that I wanted to be a zookeeper, because I've always loved animals as well. I was always known for being with the dog. If there was a dog in the house, I'd be with the dog. And just was known, I had a reputation for getting along really well with dogs and animals, and people would say, you're the dog whisperer, you speak dog, and all that kind of thing. So I really, really loved animals, and my dream was to work with them. And eventually I no longer wanted to be a zoologist. I wanted to be a zookeeper. I then wanted to be a zoologist, and that was my dream at the age of like 8 years old, when I was in grade 3, right up until I completed my Bachelor of Environmental Science, majored in animal behaviour, majored in zoology with honours in animal behaviour. And then probably, what happened was, at the age of 8, I didn't really fully understand what being a zoologist was, and that it actually wouldn't suit my lifestyle. I like being indoors. I like creativity too much. And so, yeah, my idea of being a zoologist, zookeeper, was just to work with animals and look after them. But yeah, I didn't think about necessarily with the zookeeping, like the manual labour required, and the early mornings, and the the being outdoors, and the physicality of the job. Whereas I could have gone down the research route, but yeah, after doing honours, which is just doing a research project, I was like, no, I want to do something more practical, more hands-on, work with my hands. So I don't know, for whatever reason, it just didn't fit anymore, or at all. But I just didn't realise that maybe when I was 8 years old. But that was my big dream, to be a zoologist, from 8 up until about 26 years of age. Maybe it was 24 when I finished university. And then, yeah, I went on a bit of a quarter-life crisis journey, because my whole dream was not shattered, but no longer there. And it was like, wow, this whole thing that my life was working towards, I now no longer want it anymore. And it was a bit disorientating. I was like, now what? and kind of because for me, I based my identity around I'm going to be a zoologist, and then when I realized I didn't want to be one, it was like, oh. And that led to this whole other journey, and finally learning that my heart was with creativity. And yeah, I've shared that journey on my channel before. I'll probably share it again sometime. But yeah, that is the main thing that I wanted to be when I was a kid, a zoologist. And I guess the only other one that comes to mind, and why I've got the washi tape of the ballerinas, is that one of being a dancer. Ballet was just the ultimate, my favourite. I also like gymnastics. Had a phase where I loved, I still have a phase with this. Gymnastics, roller skating, ice skating, contortion, circus performer. There was a stage where I was like, I want to join the circus. I think everyone has that phase too. But specifically, I wanted to be one of the acrobats, not in the air, on the floor, doing the contortion stuff, the flexibility stuff. That was right up my alley. Anyway, question number 5. One movie you could watch over and over again. There's probably countless movies that I could watch over and over again. I love movies. But right off the top of my head, I've got to say my favourite movie as well, which is the Lord of the Rings series. And I've realised that I have actually watched them so many times that the movie holds zero tension for me now. I remember when I used to watch this movie, I was, so into it and really tense in some scenes, and the music was really dramatic, and I'm with it. And now it's just like watching an episode of The Simpsons to me. In that, for me, The Simpsons back when I was younger was my comfort food in terms of TV. Something just put on in the background, and it was just comforting to have, not necessarily to watch, but it was just nice to have one in the background because it was just part of my childhood, part of my life. And that's kind of what Lord of the Rings has become now. It's just become this thing where I know every beat. I just know the story, and I don't feel any tension at all. And all those times when the music swells, I'm like, I I don't feel anything anymore when I watch it, I guess is what I'm saying, because I just know it that well. And part of me, when I realised that, was a bit sad. It's like, I really want to be in every moment, be right there. But it's just, I love it still, but it's just become a comfort movie now rather than an epic, powerful, moving piece, which it still is, definitely. And I think one of those masterpiece types of movies, the world building, the level of detail and design, I'm just in awe of. But I just, it's I've watched it too many times, I think. So they're one of the types of movies as well that I will watch every year or so, because I love them so much. They're so good. Oh my gosh, love those movies. Okay, as usual, I'm just going to loop this video again as I keep going. Number 6, one book you wish you could read for the first time again. This one was a bit challenging because I can't really say that I particularly want to read any book for the first time again. And I think the reason for that is because I know that it wouldn't be the same, because we're different people at different times of our lives when we read a book. At one moment in our lives, if we read a book, it might speak to us then, but if we read it at a different time in our lives, it wouldn't speak to us at all. Or if we read it at this time of lives, it would speak to us in this way, but if we read it at a later time in our life, it would speak to us in a totally different way. So that's kind of why I don't want to read any book again for the first time, because I might miss out on what I got from it that first time. But if we're just going with the sentiment of, a book that was maybe powerful to you, that you wish you could experience for the first time, if you could have that exact same experience for the first time again, if we're going with that idea, oh goodness, okay. The books that come to mind first are the Belgariad series. This was my first introduction to fantasy books and blew my mind. Loved them. I just loved the world building again. If out of any genre, people ask me what's your favourite genre for books, I used to say fantasy. And the reason is because I just love this idea that, or I'm just so amazed that a person can come up with this imaginative world and characters and story, put it into words so that someone else can enter into that world and experience it. Like, what? That is just amazing. And in fantasy, I see that imagination at play the most in that genre. That's where I get to see the pure genius of the human mind to create these things, because you can really go out there, you can really come up with some interesting things that I would have come up with. And I'm almost in awe, like I'm almost unbelieving in how disbelieving, I'm not sure, I find it hard to believe, what am I trying to say? I find it unbelievable how someone could come up with this, and then not only come up with it, but be able to write it in such a way that someone else can enter into that world. And in a way, it's kind of transcendent. It's like that. I don't even have words. This is why I struggle, because it's that transcendent thing that you can't even put words to. And I just saw that so much in the world of fantasy, the genre of fantasy, where I was just blown away by the book, by the story, by the human mind that came up with it, and through the medium of writing to do that. And these books made me, I mean, I was already in love with writing, but they consciously made me aware, I guess, when I look back on my journey of book reading, they consciously made me aware of me being in love with writing, because they made me fall in love with writing, in that what words can do, the power of words. And that's one of my little slogans too, back when I had a blog. It was, little catchphrases was, fall in love with writing. I even have a book that I edited called Fall in Love with Writing. It's on Amazon if you would like to find it, where people from all around the world wrote about what writing means to them and why they love writing. And I put that book together to help people see just the amazing wonders of writing, and to help others fall in love with writing the way that all we had. So yeah, those books, wonderful. And if you ever wondered why my email address is wordsLikeSilk at gmail.com, that is because there is a character in the Bulgariad called Silk, and he's my all-time favourite character in a book. I adore him. He is so fun. He's witty and sardonic and sarcastic and very intelligent and very clever. He's an acrobat, he's a thief, he's a spy. And I always was drawn to those types of characters in these books. Any fantasy series, they seem to have the same stereotypical characters. You know, they've got the wizard character, the wise guy. They've got the big tough, you know, warrior type, and then they've got the quick-witted, smart one, and that's always the one that I resonated with. And so that was Silk. And when I first had an email address, it was Silk15. And then when I went over to Gmail, I had to create a different email address, and I always knew I was going to have Silk in it. And when I wrote something, someone read my writing online, and they described it as, your words are like silk. And right then it was like something went off in my head, and I was like, yes, I have to use that. And ever since, Words Like Silk was my email address, and something that I deeply resonate with. Silk meaning, silk representing the wonder of writing, the power of writing, the magic of writing, so the inspiration of writing, all of the impact that writing has, that is what silk represents. So words like silk. I want my words to inspire. I want my words to leave people in awe, you know, if I have such lofty standards. I hope my words can do the same when I read other people's words. I'm in awe of the power of the written word to transport, to teach, to challenge, to uplift, to inspire, to encourage, to make us fall in love with writing. And if I can pass it on with my words too, that would be amazing. Anyway, so those books. I just want to give an honourable mention. The other books that I thought of were the Dan Brown books, Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons. Honestly, all of his books I've loved. I call them thrillers. They are absolutely thrilling. Out of all the books I've ever read, they're the most like movies. It's like watching a movie. And you know me, if you've listened to me talk about books before, I love page turners. I want to be fully engaged, and I want to have a page turner. I want a book where I don't want to do anything else but read, because it's grabbing my attention so much. And all of Dan Brown's books I have read very quickly, and life has been put on hold when I read his books because I'm just so into them. I need to finish them. And that's a testament to his writing, and just I love the mystery. I love the twists and the turns and the puzzles and working out the puzzles. Like, I love it so much. So those types of books are great to read for the first time, because obviously it's a new mystery. You don't see a twist coming. I love that, when the shock when there's a twist. So I've read them all a second time though as well, and they were still equally just as page turny as the first time around. The only downside about reading them for a second time was that I kind of already knew where things were going, so I didn't get the full impact of the first time reading. So that's why I would say those books I'd love to read maybe for the first time again, just for that impact, and just hope that he writes another book so I can go through all of that again. Anyway, next question. One stationery item you can't live without. Oh, easy. Pen. My pen. I would be fine if I just have pen and paper. I'm good. I am good. Or I guess these days now, a laptop or an iPad, or a typewriter and a piece of paper. If I can write, I'm good. You can entertain yourself with writing, and you can get to know yourself better with writing. It's therapeutic. It's just enjoyable. And this pen that I'm using right now is my ultimate favourite pen. I love it so much that I buy it online and spend a whole ton of money that I wouldn't need to if I just bought it from a shop. But I love these pens so much that I get them online because I can't find them anywhere else. I discovered this pen through my old university in one of the bookshops, and I've never found this pen anywhere else. So when I stopped going to that uni, I'm like, oh no, what do I do? And I managed to find it online, and now I buy them in bulk. I get 10 or 12 in a pack, and I get a pack of blue and a pack of black. And I used to get a pack of red too, but I hardly went through those, so now I just get packs of blue and black, and I use these all the time. I love these pens. These pens feel like a part of my body because they're just so smooth. Every other pen that I've tried, I'm conscious that I'm holding a pen, and I don't want that. I just want it to be seamless, and that's what this pen does. I love how thin it is, and I love how smooth it is, that I'm not fighting against it. It doesn't leave globs on the page. There are other smooth pens out there, but this is the smoothest that I found. And so, yeah, it just feels like I'm not even holding a pen in a way. It doesn't distract me from the writing. It's just completely smooth and seamless, and yeah, it's so good. I love it. I can talk about stationery a long time if you wanted me to. I do like my stationery. I do like my pens. And anytime I read about other people and the pens and the stationery that they like, I'm like, oh, this is so fun. I love this. Anyway, number 8. What does the perfect day look like to you? Oh, Johanna Clough already asked me this question, so if you have watched that video, you know what my answer is already, but in a nutshell, it is just a whole day to spend at home in my room, because I'm a homebody. I'm a bit of a hermit. I'm an introvert. I like my alone time, and I like not leaving the house. And I love good books and good movies, good food and good drink. So I will have stocked up on snacks and meals, a delicious lunch and a delicious dinner, probably takeaway, well, definitely takeaway, and my favourite takeaway. And then I will eat while I read a book, and I will have another meal while I watch a movie, and I'll just spend the day reading, maybe doing a bit of creating, maybe listening to a podcast, and that's my perfect day. That is literally how I spend my birthday. If I can, on my birthday, I plan it all out to be able to do that. I save up a good book. I save up a good movie. I might even save up a good podcast episode. I'll previously go out that week to get my food, So it's all ready to go on that day. That's my perfect day. Okay, next question. Number 9. Name an animal you'd love to have as pet. Well, of course, I've got my black cat Keanu, so him. But if it wasn't him, definitely a dog. As much as I do like cats now, I would call myself for sure a dog person. I mean, I know I'm both now, but if I did have the choice between a cat and a dog, hands down, it's got to be a dog for me. As much as I love cats, I love dogs so much more. It's true. Because I just love how a dog, well, it depends on the cat, of course, but I just love how a dog really is like your companion, man's best friend. And, I had a wonderful dog for 10 years and she was just wonderful, the best thing. She would sit on my lap 24/7 and she just, was constantly by my side and with me, and that's what I want from a pet. I love that. Next question is number 10. What is your favourite season? When I was a kid, I would have said spring because my birthday was in spring, and the whole sentimental idea of that's when new life happens and the flowers start to grow and the babies are born, like the baby animals are born. But if I'm being practical about this and not just going with the sentimental version, the idealistic version, I now say my favourite season is summer because it has my favourite times of the year: Christmas and New Year's, the summer holidays, and time with family. That's what summer represents to me. Summer as well because I am definitely a summer girl over winter. I love the heat, which is one reason I moved from Melbourne to Queensland, so I could have nice, warm, sunny days. The cold really does affect my mood. I can get quite down in the winter months. If I'm cold, I'm just not comfortable. I'm not happy in the cold. That's one thing I really don't like. If I have a pet hate, the cold is one of them. And finally, the last question is, what is a new hobby you'd like to try? Off the top of my head, I thought of ice skating. I've always liked the idea of ice skating. That's a little dream of mine, to get ice skating lessons and be able to ice skate, and to go along with that, roller skating, circus stuff. I'd love to try aerials with the silks and with the hoop, and all the acrobatics and gymnastics and contortion stuff. That would be fun to try. I love beam so much. I did a term of gymnastics this year and beam was just so fun. I loved it. Other things, like instruments, always, that's another thing in the back of my mind I'd love to do. Get better at playing piano. I did play flute for a little bit, or I was learning flute for a little bit. I also tried out guitar and ukulele, so either of those instruments I'd love to be able to play, like actually be able to play it and not just be learning it. Photography, I've always had this idea as well that I'd love to maybe do a photography course and really know what I'm doing with the camera, with lighting and aperture and all the different settings and that kind of stuff. Learning about other things that came to mind were more design stuff and computer stuff. So website design, publishing, book design and layout, how to use Photoshop and all those kinds of programs. I am not the most technical and I don't really enjoy computer stuff. So I have ventured down that road a few times for various things. And it takes a lot of going over it, a lot of repetition before it becomes like second nature. But that would be good to get to that place, that some people can just pick that up and they enjoy learning it, and I wish I was one of those people because that would hold me in good stead. But I find it boring, tedious, not my cup of tea. So if I have a reason to do it though, I will do it, but by choice, not my favourite thing, all that technical stuff, computer stuff. So those are my answers to Olivia's questions, I will link her channel down below, the Brown Satchel. She has wonderful journaling videos and lifestyle vlog type videos, and she's very talented, very creative. So go check out her channel and send her some love. And thank you so much, Olivia, for your wonderful questions. I had lots of fun answering them in this page spread. If you would like to give me 5 to 10 questions, feel free to email me so I can do a page spread. And I'm just going to decorate this with some butterfly stickers to end, although you've already seen this because this is the second time round. So I'll end it here, and be sure to journal your life because your stories matter. Bye guys. A big thank you to my beautiful patrons who supported me in November. I hope you absolutely loved all of the extras this month. And if you would like to support me in December and get access to extra videos and printables, behind the scenes updates, and first access to any of my creations, the link is down below in the description box. The links are also down there to all of my journaling courses. The Reflections journaling course is running all through December if you would like to document your year for 2022. And if you would like to support my book fundraiser, the link is there to my GoFundMe page as well.